Toastmasters and welcome guests. My name's Sean Ross, and when I was a kid, I used to go to Allencroft Elementary School. And when I was 10 years old, the bus would take us home for lunch every day. And I remember being a little kid and looking at the bus, and it was so huge. And I would climb up those stairs to get up onto the bus, and my sister would be in tow behind me. And the bus would take us home, and as soon as we got home, I would start running down the street towards my house because I couldn't wait to get into the house. And I'd jump into the house, I'd turn on the TV, jump into my lazy boy, and all of a sudden I'd hear, "When you're with the Flintstones, have a yabba dabba doo time, a dabba doo time, we'll have a gay old time." And I was in awe. And then all of a sudden one day I was watching, and Fred Flintstone and his best friend Barney Rubble went bowling. And in those days, they didn't wear shoes when they went bowling because they were in the Stone Age. So they would go barefoot. And Mr. Fred Flintstone would stand there and he would get on his tippy toes and he would hold his bowling ball. And then all of a sudden he'd walk like a ballerina and you'd hear tinkle, 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 tinkle. And he'd swerve down his ball and he'd swing and release the ball, and the ball would jet down the bowling alley, and boom! All of the bowling pins would fly everywhere, and he'd get a strike. And I was just awestruck by this, and I was like, oh my God, I want to learn how to bowl. And as you know, my family breaks bread together. And where did that tradition begin? When I was a little boy. So my family and I would all sit around the kitchen table eating supper. And one day I said, "Oh my God, Dad, I watched the Flintstones today and they went bowling and I was so impressed." And my dad said, "Son, I love bowling and you're at the age now where I can take you and teach you how to bowl. So I'm going to take you this weekend and we're going to go to Laurentian Lanes and you're going to try bowling." And I told him all about the TV show and how it all worked. And he said, okay. So Saturday morning came. We go to the Laurentian Lanes. We're at the bowling alley. And of course, I take off my shoes because I want to be like Fred Flintstone. So I get on my tippy toes and I start to walk and I don't hear any tinkle tinkle. And I'm like, that sucks. And then I start to go. And then all of a sudden I start to go quick and I trip and I fall. And I'm like, oh my God, that hurt. And my dad said, "Son, I had to let you do that because I knew you wanted to get it out of your system." But he said, nowadays, it's not the Stone Age anymore, it's the modern age, and we have bowling shoes. And these bowling shoes have these slippery surface on the bottom, which allow you to slide so you don't fall on your face when you bowl. So I said, okay, that's really cool. So I put on these neat little bowling shoes. And then I said, all right, let's try it now. And this time I got my bowling ball, ran down the aisle, I slid, I let go, and boom, my ball went into the gutter. And I'm like, oh my God, that sucks. My dad said, son, what you have to learn to swing your arm like a pendulum, like a grandfather clock. Just let it go straight like this, and let the ball release and go straight down the alley. So I tried a few times. I finally got it a little straighter. Ball went down, I hit some pins, it was kind of cool. And as the years went on, I got better and better at bowling. And finally, when I was around 16 years old, I ended up getting one of my best scores ever, 192. I was really proud of myself. And the hardest shot you can hit in bowling is when there's a pin on the left side and a pin on the right side. It's called a split. So I've gotten this situation many times. My dad always explained to me that I had to hit the ball on the inside so that the ball would fly up in the air, land on the other side, and knock the other pin over. And for the first time ever, I actually succeeded. I did it. I broke this finally. I got this split, which was incredible. So as the years went on, I ended up meeting my wife, and our first date was at a bowling alley because I loved bowling. And then when my kids got older, I started taking them bowling. But my scoring never got better. 192 was always the best I ever had. So then finally, when my son was 19 years old, which was maybe 6 months ago, he said, "Dad, I watched on YouTube these guys who spin the ball like this. And what happens is the ball goes out, it comes back in, and it hits the front pin at an angle and knocks down all the pins." He said, "Dad, if you don't do that, you're never going to get better." So I watched him get progressively better as he did this move. And I always said, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm already 56. But one day I said, screw it, I'm going to try it. So I tried this new maneuver. Took me a while. I got a lot of gutter balls. I screwed up a lot of times. But finally, I started getting it. And then all of a sudden, about 6 weeks ago, I just broke 200 for the first time ever. I got a 204 score. And I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. I feel amazing. And this is a situation where I, being the teacher, teaching my son who's the student has now become the teacher and taught me. And it was just a beautiful circle of life, and I loved it. And I want to thank you all.